Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to my top 5 most anticipated levels for the prequels of LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga. I'll be following up this video with my top 5s for both the original trilogy and the sequels, so make sure to subscribe to know exactly when they're uploaded, and let me know whether you agree with my picks in the comments, because there are definitely going to be some surprises with not only the levels I've included, but their placement as well. So with no further ado, let's start off with number 5, and that is Obi-Wan vs Grievous. This was an extremely limited and simple boss battle in the complete saga, but the small clip that we've been given so far shows a lot more potential for this boss fight. In the latest gameplay, we see Kenobi and Grievous battling in the hangar, the same hangar that Obi-Wan initially drops into with that introduction.
Hello there.
So there is a chance we get to duel in multiple locations, or even interact during the chase where Grievous is trying to escape. In the complete saga, it was simply on a platform on Utapau, but it didn't bear that much likeness to the events in the film. So while there's also a fair chance that the final few hits and blaster shot end up taking place in a cutscene, which would make this not disappointing, I'm sure it will be fun as hell to play, but there would be some unfulfilled potential that I hope we do get to play through. Now at number 4, is Battle of the Heroes with Anakin or Vader at this point versus Obi-Wan, and shocking no one, this Mustafar duel has made it onto the list, though what's probably most surprising is just how low I've placed it. Being in the top 5 obviously still means I can't wait to play it, and on quality alone, this duel may well be the best level in the entire game, but that's a video for another time once I've got my hands all over this game. And as far as anticipation goes, there are a few levels that hold a very special place in my heart that I've just pushed this one down to still a very respectable 4th on the list. While I'm not sure yet about fighting in multiple environments on Utapau with the last entry, there is no doubt at all that this duel will be always on the move and be featuring changing elements at all times. They managed it back in the complete saga, and we've seen very short clips of them managing it again here. So I'll be damned if they don't manage to pull it off spectacularly. Hopefully we also get to play through this duel as Anakin once we complete it through as Kenobi the first time around. That would be perfect, and hopefully it doesn't have the stepping stones part of the level that was in the complete saga, because me as a child had absolute nightmares about that part. Up at number 3, being carried by sheer curiosity, is the pod racing level. Other than the boss battles, there are just a few levels in LEGO Star Wars that stick always in my memory, and one of those is the pod racing. When I first played this, I hadn't got into video games too much, so my skill level was very low, and I remember playing this level on loop, lap after lap, and just not winning it once. But it never got me frustrated or bored, because the racing was so exciting and fun to try. So it's very interesting to see how they'll have changed the track, because with the amount of changes throughout the entire game, you already know that they won't be copy and pasting this level with just a reskin. They'll be rebuilding it from the ground up, and not knowing how this is going to play with no footage at all shown is one of the main reasons it's clawed its way up to number 3 on this list. Now coming in at 2nd place is an entry that was always going to be on this list, and probably most of you expected it to be at number 1, but possibly the most iconic duel of all of Star Wars. Just don't sue me for that, because it's just an opinion. But that is Duel of the Fates, and that is at number 2. Just like the Battle of Heroes, this duel is going to have multiple stages and different environments to move through, and being able to use the new combat system to genuinely defeat Maul, rather than it being more of a puzzle, like so many were in the original LEGO Star Wars games, where Maul blocks everything until you stun him. And I completely understand that there's still a place for those boss battles, and hopefully elements are still involved here. But being able to duel with Maul on what feels like a more even playing field is every fanboy's dream, so I cannot wait for this one. And before we get on to the number 1 pick, which some of you may see coming, some of you may not, there are many honourable mentions that I have to go through, because the prequels has so many iconic levels and scenery and duels to go through. So there are plenty here, and that starts with Obi-Wan vs Jango on Kamino, Anakin and Obi-Wan vs Dooku at the beginning of Revenge of the Sith, the other final battles in The Phantom Menace, both on the ground with the Gungans against the droids, for which we were given a very unique snippet of gameplay that I'm very interested to play, and in space, because the redesigned space combat looks incredible too, and that N1 Starfighter is going to be even more fun to play through nowadays, if you've seen any recent Star Wars television. And looking back, Yoda vs Dooku in the finale of Episode 2, as well as Yoda vs Palpatine in Episode 3, are probably level with Kenobi and Grievous. So if I was doing a top 10, the video would be, it would be almost too easy because all of these duels would be included, and I really had to narrow it down here. And I'm not sure if we'll get to play through this, but I really hope we do, because defeating Palpatine with Mace Windu before Anakin's turn and the following duels would cover pretty much every single prequel duel there is. And I'm also very intrigued to see how Order 66 plays out. I don't expect it to be a full level at all, but we might get to play as Yoda and Chewie on Kashyyyk, just like in the complete saga, which would be great. And being able to just see Felucia just for a brief second, even if it's not in gameplay, would be great also. And finally, if TT were going to include any bonus levels for the prequels, since this series isn't getting a character pack, so those characters will hopefully be in the base game, getting some more Clone Wars Season 7, and more specifically the Ahsoka vs Maul duel on Mandalore, would be the absolute icing and cherry on the cake. It will blow all of our expectations out of the water, and even if I don't believe it will happen, no one is going to take this dream away from me, not until April 5th. And finally, number 1 was my favourite level in the complete saga, and it only makes sense to be my most anticipated level here, and that is the Geonosis Battle Arena level. When I first played this, I didn't even realise there were objectives with certain enemy types to defeat before you move on, and because I was having so much fun just slicing through the droids surrounded by Jedi, I didn't care in the slightest. So I would just be spending an absurd amount of time having a blast, and the ability to do that again here, with the new gameplay for saber combat in full effect, cutting through the field with Mace especially, or Episode 2 Anakin, or Episode 2 Obi-Wan, or Kit Fisto just for the hell of it, is going to be incredible. And that is my top 5 prequel levels for LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga. Those are my most anticipated. That is not rating them on quality. I will absolutely go back and do that once I have my hands on the game. But for now, leave a like if you enjoyed, and if you don't agree, leave a comment below and let me know you're ordering, because while I don't think there's a level I've missed out, there could well be, and I'm almost certain that plenty of you will have different number 1 picks, and they are completely valid because Geonosis is just a personal favourite, but I can completely see how Duel of the Fates or Battle of the Heroes especially would work their way up to number 1 for some of you. So let me know down below, subscribe if you enjoyed, and hopefully I will see you next time.